Hey, what's happening? Welcome to the Victory Loves Company podcast. Today is Thursday, March 29th, 2018. I'm Conrad and Gina. We are joined by the very lovely Gina.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk to you about how to shave a couple bucks off of your cell phone upgrade through your cell phone carrier. Now, Gina and I both have cell phones through different companies, major companies, I should add. And this is some tips and tricks that we've learned along the way that will get you a cell phone upgrade through your cell phone carrier. Now, please note that the following is mostly applicable to those that are eligible for an upgrade, and this is to save a couple bucks on the actual device and or your monthly billing statement. Now, like I said earlier, Gina and I have different cell phone providers, and both yielded different results, but the bottom line was I was able to get a credit on my cell phone bill, whereas Gina was actually able to get a new iPhone at a discounted rate. So what are the steps that you should take and what should you do? Well, like I said, if you're eligible for an upgrade, the first thing you should do is call and see what they can do for you. Now, this is very similar to what Gina and I had mentioned in a previous episode on how to save a couple bucks off of your cable, your internet, and your phone. So it's similar in the fact that you would call them and ask them what is the absolute best price that they can do. Now, cell phone companies did away with contracts. So now they just basically milk the cost of the device spread out over 24 months or 30 months, depending on who you have. Now, when I called a couple weeks ago, I was currently sporting a iPhone 6, and I wanted to get the 8 Plus. So I called them and I said, my usual line, is this the best you can do? Now, at the time, they were offering me the phone for, I believe it was $860, and spread out over 30 months, I believe would be an additional $29 a month. So they didn't really have anything that they could have offered me, because since I was eligible for an upgrade, I was also eligible for their payment plan. So according to them, people that were not eligible for an upgrade would basically have to pay full price for the phone.
I also want to jump in and just say you have to actually call your cell phone company. You can't really walk into one of the stores and ask for discounts. They're not going to give it to you. So kind of like when we had talked in a previous episode about your cable bill, your internet bill, you do have to actually call the company themselves, because only they can do that. If some of these stores, if you go into, this particular store, that particular store of your actual cell phone company, or your wireless carrier, some of those are actually individually owned and operated. So they're not going to give you a discount if you go in and ask for it. They're going to look at you like you have 10 heads. So don't do it. You actually have to call and ask.
Yes, stay away from any brick and mortar businesses in this arena. Agreed. Everything should be done over the phone, because you can keep asking for a manager or somebody higher up until you eventually get what you want. So back to my story. When I called, I asked them if there was anything that they could do, and they really had nothing to offer me, to which I replied, of course, that was unacceptable. So again, I pulled the whole, I've been a customer since actually, I've been a customer for this company for about maybe 10 years, but 10 years or 2 years, always pull I've been a customer with you card, because you can always do the threaten to cancel thing. But at any rate, I said I've been with the company for over 10 years, and I want to get this phone, but I don't want to pay $860 for it. So the representative on the phone said, well, there's really nothing that we can do in regards to the actual device. You're still going to have to pay $860 for it. So what I can do for you is offer you a credit of $50 towards your bill. So I'm like, isn't that kind of the same thing as discounting like the phone for $50? And he goes, well, yeah, kind of, but it's basically it was easier to get your bill discounted than it was to get the actual equipment discounted. So again, when he said, I'll put $50 towards your next cell phone bill, which wouldn't really cover it. My cell phone bill is about $68. I just said, can you make it 100? And I just flat out asked. And the moral here is, do not be afraid to ask, because you're speaking to a person that goes home at the end of the day and pees in the toilet just like everybody else. So I said, if you make it 100, you have a deal right now. And that's exactly what happened. Now, when Gina had called, she got something very similar, but the approach was different. They were able to offer her no credit towards her bill, but she was able to get the equipment discounted.
Yeah, so I called my carrier, and it was the same thing. I wanted the iPhone 8 Plus, and I called and I said, I want to purchase it. Are there any promotions or deals going on? Now, I had already looked online to see what promotions my company was carrying or was offering, and they basically told me the same thing on the phone that I had seen online. They said, all right, well, we have a promotion where if you buy one iPhone 8 Plus, you get the second one free. And I said, well, that doesn't really help me because I only need one phone. So the man on the phone said, well, there's nothing really I can do for you. I said, is there somebody else who can help me? And he said, okay, well, let me transfer you to customer care department, or what, again, there's always a there's
always a made up department for like a made up solution.
It's always some random magic department that appears. So I got this other man on the phone who was a lot more helpful, and he I explained my situation to him, and I said, listen, if I'm not going to buy this phone through you guys, which I would love to do, I said, but it's too much money. I said, I'm going to go on Craigslist or just buy it privately, because there's no point in me going through you if you're going to charge me an arm and a leg for it. So after I threatened to go on Craigslist, magically there was something available. So
of course.
So he puts me on hold and says, okay, can you hold up one moment for me, please? Just help me out, hold on for a little bit. And I said, okay, no problem. So he puts me on hold for about a minute or two, and he comes back and he said, I can give you $100 credit on your device. So I said, okay. Now, like I think a lot of people, I do pay monthly for my device. So whatever the price of the phone is, it's broken out over it's divided up over 24 months, and you pay it off that way, interest free, which is fine with me. I'm not interested in spending whatever it is, $700 or $800 up front on a phone.
Do you remember what the MSRP was for it?
I don't remember, honestly.
I think all iPhones are kind of the same regardless.
They are. Because those prices are set by Apple, and then
unless you get the 10, which is like $1,000, and it's worth I think like $1,070 on the black market, no, Craigslist market. I think that's what it goes for, but then like the 8s and the 8 Pluses, they go from anywhere between $800 and $860, I think. Do you remember how much of a discount you got?
I got I did get a $100 discount, but they broke that up over 24 months because I do the payment thing, which is fine again. So I was able to shave a few bucks off of my monthly payment that I make towards the phone. So the moral of the story is, when I had first called and that one person said, well, this is all I can do. And I said, is there somebody else who can help me? So if you don't feel like saying, is that the best you can do? And it's all about finding what you feel comfortable saying, because I know Conrad sometimes that's kind of his thing, is that the best you can do. I usually say, is there somebody else who can help me? And it's the same thing. It'll yield the same results. So find what works for you. And this gentleman was able to offer me $100 off my phone. So you don't know, like Conrad says, you don't know until you ask. The worst they could say is, no, we can't help you. But usually that's not going to be the case. If you are eligible for an upgrade, you call your wireless carrier, you say, I want this phone It's too much money. What can you do for me? And threaten that you're going to go on Craigslist or buy it privately from somebody else. They don't want you doing that, because part of how the cell phone companies make money off of you is by you buying your cell phone through them. So they want to make as much money as they can off of you. So they're going to do anything they can to keep at least some of your money, even if they're losing a little bit in the end.
Yeah, that's a good point. And purchasing, especially Apple products on Craigslist, that's a big market. I think regardless of where you live, is buying electronics on Craigslist. I know it's kind of shady, but if you talk to enough people, you can find what you want. But there's a big market out there for Apple products via Craigslist. So if you recall, during a earlier episode when Gina and I were talking about lowering your cable bill, it was kind of like, listen, if you don't give me what I want, I'm pretty much going to go to my competitor. And you outline the specifics of your competitor because, as Gina said, these companies are well versed in what their competition has to offer. So while it gives off the appearance that you're locked into a cell phone contract with these carriers, you're really not. So again, by pulling the Craigslist card, it's almost like saying, yeah, if you don't if you don't give me what I want, I'm not going through you guys. And just like Gina said, that's not what they want, because a lot of a big chunk of their change comes from selling the actual device. The service part is pretty much the other half. So they acquire the products from Apple at a fixed price, and then they turn around and they sell it to us at a higher fixed price, and hence the profit margin. So, but yeah, you are exactly correct. I agree with you there.
Right. And I had no intention of going on Craigslist, and this is kind of where Conrad and I differ. Conrad has purchased electronics in the past off of Craigslist and mostly has had success with it, but
I had one bad time.
Yeah,
one bad time, but you're bound to run into that, though.
Yes, you do it at your own risk. I personally am not in favor of doing that. I prefer to purchase my products new or from an authorized dealer or something that is whatever, certified pre-owned or whatever they call it. But I'd rather do that and pay a little bit more than go on Craigslist and potentially run into some shady person. So it's just all about what you're comfortable with. Like I said, I prefer to purchase it directly from my wireless carrier. Conrad is a little bit more of a risk taker with that, and he uses Craigslist pretty frequently. But if you're like me and you don't want to go the Craigslist route, but you don't know what to look for, you don't want to deal with weird people,
and you want to play it safe.
Yes, and if you do decide to purchase anything on Craigslist, obviously always make sure that you meet everybody knows, meet in a public place, well-lit area, bring somebody with you if possible, and just make sure that you're really safe about it. But I don't know. I prefer to purchase my cell phone directly through my wireless carrier. Makes a huge difference because it's more peace of mind. It came in. I got the nice little white girl rose gold white iPhone 8 Plus. It's every white girl has that phone. So
all right, I'll take your word for it.
I got my little Kate Spade holder, or the little wallet that it comes in with the phone case.
I can't believe you bought that.
Well, it came as a set on Amazon.
No, it didn't come as a set.
It did come as a set. It all came together.
No, you didn't need it.
Well, I did need it.
You know what I paid for my case?
What?
$7.
Yeah, mine is really cute.
Yeah, and you know how much you paid for it? About like 15 times what it's worth.
It also came with the wristlet, honey.
Which you didn't need.
I do need that. I've always had a wristlet for my iPhone. So, that's the moral of the story.
Why do you need a wristlet?
Because sometimes if I go somewhere and I only want to take my phone with me and I don't want to take anything else, it's just easier. Plus, it protects it in my bag.
And you think it's worth what you paid?
Absolutely.
100%?
Yes. I paid $57 for the women listening. I paid $57 for a Kate Spade phone case and wristlet. It was a set. It came as a set on Amazon. So if you go on Amazon, I don't know if they still have it, but it's really cute. It's a gold wristlet, and then it's like one of those little polka dot confetti kind of phone cases. So I don't know. I was happy with it.
Overpriced.
Stylish and functional.
Yeah, but at what cost, sweetheart?
$57 is not a lot of money.
$57 for a cell phone case is not a lot of money.
For a cell phone case and the wristlet. It came as a set. Why are you ignoring the fact that the wristlet came with the case?
Why couldn't you just buy the case? What'd you need the wristlet for?
Because I use the wristlet.
All right,
I
wait a
told you
minute.
that.
No, for people that don't know you, how many wristlets do you have?
Just one for my phone.
In total, how many wristlets do you have and use for your cell phone?
Well, I have another wristlet that has my credit cards and my money in it.
So why do you need two wristlets?
Because the phone doesn't fit
why are you getting snippy with me?
Because you don't understand what it's like to be a woman.
No, I guess I don't. But I know what it's like to piss money away.
Oh my God, I didn't piss money away.
You sure about that?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'll take your word for it.
In short, hopefully these tips and tricks that Conrad and I shared will help you in saving a little bit more money on technologically related items. Not only will your cable bill and internet bill be lowered, but hey, you're getting a discounted iPhone or a Droid or whatever you use, Samsung.
Correct, Amundo. And like anything that you purchase that is not through a company, such as Craigslist, just be aware that with a higher risk comes a higher reward, and you can potentially get something much cheaper than you could directly through a manufacturer, and you also have the obvious financial incentive of not paying sales tax on it. But it's like I always say, there's no risk, there's no reward. But I totally understand that if you're risk averse, then it might be extra to pay a little extra for that peace of mind, knowing that you're getting it directly from the manufacturer. But of course, all this is contingent on what it is that you're buying. Again, if you're buying like a brand new laptop or an iPad or any kind of electronic device where it has the potential of screwing up, you're not going to be guaranteed by anybody that it's going to work if you purchased it on Craigslist. However, if you're looking to get a picture frame or a table or an armoire or something that is what it is, doesn't really have a whole lot of moving parts, then you can get a lot of good deals out there. So don't be afraid to look and don't be afraid to ask. The worst that can happen is that the answer is no. Lesson learned, and you move along. Sweetheart, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, I think we pretty much covered it, and hopefully this will, like I said earlier, help you shave some money off of that new cell phone or device, whatever you're purchasing from your wireless carrier. And that just goes for anything you're looking to buy. You always just want to ask if there are any discounts available, if there's anything they can do for you. And as Conrad said, the worst they could say is no.
That is correct. If you guys haven't figured out by now, we're heavy advocates of being frugal with our money and not putting it in places where it doesn't belong or overpaying for something. Gina's notorious for that.
No, I am a frugal person, but we really like to learn different ways to save money on things that we would need to buy anyway,
or stuff that you use every day. Right.
Mm-hmm. So we are frugal, and we really always like to learn about how to save money and really not overpay for anything. We don't like overpaying. So
you put the F in frugal, sweetheart.
I do put the F in frugal. Absolutely. It's a capital F too. So
yeah. Take after your mother.
I do take after my mother. My mother is frugal in all capital letters.
Yeah. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
It does not, and I'm proud to admit it. I am not one of those women who goes out and just spends money without a care in the world. I watch every dime that I spend, and Conrad does too, and we just like to share our little secrets on how to keep some more money in your wallet.
Well, that's the podcast, everyone. I want to thank you all for listening to the Victory Loves Company podcast, and that you all have a great Easter Sunday. As always, I am Conrad Agderian. Please be sure to check us out on our social media handles at VLC Podcasts. And if you have any suggestions for upcoming shows, please email us at thevictorypodcast@gmail.com. Happy Easter, everyone, and have a great weekend.